You could be larger than life, bigger than the world, living out the hopes and dreams of every boy and every girl. You could fly higher than the sky, shine brighter than the stars. You can have all you ever wanted. Larger, bigger, living hopes and dreams of every boy. You could fly higher than the sky, shine brighter than the stars. You could have all you ever wanted. You know you could.
Hiya, so I'm just going to talk a bit about where I am now, what my life is like going through school, and the different types of questions that children ask about my deficiency. Because I'm currently training to be a primary school teacher. I'm 3 out of 4 years into my degree, so I'm getting really close now. And I'm 20 years old, and yeah, so a bit about my deficiency first. As you can see, I've had my arm cut off just underneath my left elbow. This all healed completely naturally. But on my left-hand side, I've had 4 different surgeries, including 2 toe transplants and different types of skin grafts. I've had 4 surgeries in total, and 2 of them were done by Professor Simon Kay, so that's actually worked out really well, nicely. I had all of my surgeries under 5, and that means that genuinely and honestly I can say I don't remember anything about them. I don't remember the pain. All of that was for my mum, and if you want to know anything, you will need to ask my mum about it, because the only memory I have, I'm pretty sure, is fabricated and just from stories that I've told, so I have no idea. Then when I got a little bit older and started going to school, I've never really found it difficult to make friends, and I think that is simply because I am different. Because as you all know, children always come running up to you to ask you lots of different questions, and that meant that I got to meet a lot of different people. My little sister once said when we were very young actually, how do you make friends so easily? And I said, well, it's easy, you just stand there, wait for a child to approach you, come ask you a question, you talk for a little bit, and then you're friends. And she shouted, but there's nothing wrong with me! So, yeah, so it was an advantage when I was younger in that sense. However, I have had 1 or 2 experiences of minor bullying, but it was never anything more than a stare or a comment. In fact, when I was in primary school, a boy kept calling me Dolly Arm, which I now think is quite endearing actually, and I wouldn't mind if people called me it now, but at the time I really didn't like it. I don't remember how I dealt with it, but I can honestly say that I did hit him with my prosthetic arm once. I was told off for it, but it was kind of under smirks and winks from my teacher, so I think she thought that he deserved it too. But you just learn to shrug it off. It's the same with any other child. I don't think it was any different than if, you know, I am a bit short, or if you were wearing the wrong type of shoes or bag, you know, kids will always find something, and I honestly don't think it was any different. And then in secondary school, my mum, after a week of thinking, oh, I'm not allowed to ask, I shouldn't ask, finally said, are you being bullied? And I said, yeah, they keep calling me nicknames about being really short. So, like I said, absolutely no problems at school. And I have far more pleasant memories surrounding my deficiency about beating people in basketball and things like that than I do have negative ones. When I first got to school, my mum came in and did a little Q&A with the children about my arm. And then when I was in secondary school, my lovely occupational therapist came in and talked to my tutor group. And I can imagine that this really helped, because kids are interested in disabilities and deficiencies in the same way that they're interested about anything. They're really focused and interested for about 5 minutes, and then once they've figured it out, they don't care, and they'd rather go and play or do whatever else. So I always, when I'm meeting children for the first time, have that 5 minutes of, what do you want to know? And the most recent comment I will put this in is he said, I've never met a pirate before. So they do just come out with brilliant, brilliant things. The thing that I think about having a minor deficiency in an academic setting is that I have honestly struggled to push against the support that I didn't need than actually get the support that I wanted. For example, I've always been provided with a laptop because I do write a little bit slower, and when you get to GCSE, and obviously you've got to write pages and pages, I had a laptop to help me. and they'd always provide me with a TA, but I knew far more about computers than the TA ever did. And also I can draw a straight line in maths, I can cut things out with scissors, I don't need any help. And while looking back on it, it doesn't seem like that big of a deal, but when I was a teenager, obviously you don't want to feel special or different or sort of, you don't want to feel any different from anyone else, and having that sort of TA hovering over me with special scissors and things, it does make me feel a little bit different. But now I've gone to university, I'm allowed to say I don't want that, I do want that, I don't want that, and it's much easier for me to get the support that I actually need, which I suppose you could say I'm stubbornly independent, but I do feel like that is necessary. For example, when I was in a school last term, and I was told that the boy above me had a hand deficiency, and the teacher said, can you go and speak to him? And if you have any tips about his handwriting, because it's a bit slow and he hasn't really formed his letters properly, that would be brilliant, because we just don't know what to do with him. And I got there expecting him to have something similar like me, some sort of surgery, to find that he just had his right arm missing, and his left hand was perfectly, dare I say the word, normal. But there was no reason why he couldn't do his handwriting. He was just a bit lazy and couldn't be bothered to practice, and they were still blaming it on his deficiency, which made me really angry. And I think that's why I have always been so independent, is because I don't want to use it as an excuse, and I never will. So questions I get asked, obviously I said about the pirate one earlier. Another amusing one is obviously, how did it happen? And once a child overheard an adult asking me this question, how did it happen? What happened? Ran up to me and said, how did it happen? And before I could say anything, he said, is it in the toy box? Have you lost it? And so they just have absolutely no concept of it, and I just couldn't help but laugh picturing the sort of bloody arm against the bits of Lego and toys that he's lost over all the years. Does it hurt? This seems like a ridiculous question, but I get does it hurt from fully grown adults. When will it grow back? Can you use it normally? The answer to that is I do my own thing. I just see what works. And then when I got to university, the questions instantly shifted from those silly little ones to, do you have a prosthetic arm and can I play with it? So yeah, the questions don't really change that much. Things where I am now and things I'm still discovering. It will always amaze me how ignorant people can be. I've always been placed in the bottom sets for PE and swimming. I've had waiters asked to cut up my food over and over again, even when I've been in that restaurant 100 times. And when I was on the tills at Tesco doing my Saturday job, people would come and ask me, do you want some help for the job that I'd been hired to do? In fact, once this lady came up to me and said, oh, they're so good about employing people with disabilities, aren't they? My friend has a shrunken lung and she has to have an oxygen pump by her at all times, and they always make space for it. And I was just sitting there feeling so guilty that I'd got away with just missing an arm. So yeah, it amazes me that people kind of put them in the same boat, because to me it's a completely different thing. But people don't, I can honestly say people don't normally notice, especially when it gets to this time of year and I'm wearing a winter coat, no one ever notices, and people that I've known for a long time often forget. For example, my boyfriend, if I ask for the TV remote, he will always chuck it to my right hand side, even though he knows I'll never be able to catch it. He literally just forgets. And that brings me on to my final thing, of my Reach activity weekends. I wanted to include this photo because I think this just illustrates the relationship that I have with a lot of my friends. That sort of, the minute you get to Reach, that sort of, am I allowed to laugh? Is it PC? Can I say that? Just vanishes, and we all just have a great time. Not to mention all the opportunities it's given me. I've done rock climbing, abseiling, I've stood up on a surfboard for 8 seconds, and the fact is that if you mention an outdoor activity to us, the chances are we've probably given it a go, and we all really enjoy it. And the friendships and support that I've got from Reach has given me this sort of so what attitude towards my disability, and I hope that this has come through. It's like, I've got one arm, so what? I'm perfectly fine, thank you very much. So yeah, if anyone, do we have time for questions? yeah, does anyone have any questions? I'm happy to answer them. Please.
If you just said, why have you got your prosthetic on now? Do you wear it at all? Or
No, I have always not liked prosthetics. I've always found them very heavy and sort of sweaty, and I'm sure they're much better now, but I've never wanted one. I've never felt the need for one. When I was younger, I was kind of forced to wear one for a bit, and in the end they just gave up because I never liked it. It wasn't worth it. So,
Yeah. Jenny, do you drive?
I hope to in the future. Mainly it's a money thing at the moment is the reason I can't drive, but yeah, I've just been told that I need a little adaptation. It's all just to keep my one hand on the steering wheel all the time.
Yes.
Yeah, but other than that, I don't think I need specialist driving lessons or anything. So yeah, I'm hoping to learn next year.
You probably need an automatic.
Yes, I would need an automatic. Yeah.
there's a question there.
Microphone
Yeah.
question? Thank you.
A tip. I taught
Yeah.
for 21 years. And the story that went down to the children who were going to come to me
Yeah.
was, you don't want to be in Mrs. Douglas's class because she wears a false arm. And if you're naughty, she takes it off and hits you with it.
Maybe I do need a prosthetic arm.
That's the right reaction. What did disturb me was when a parent said to a colleague, "Is it true?" And I thought, well, would they have kept me on for 15 years in that school if it had been true? But apart from that, the children take no notice after
No.
a couple of days.
They're interested for 5 minutes and then
Thank you.
no more.
Any other questions? Well, thank you very, very much.
Thank you.
I